Mm. Mm. Jack London, White Fang. The she-wolf. Breakfast eaten and the slim camp outfit lashed to the sled. The men turned their back on the cheery fire and launched out into the darkness. At once began to rouse the cries that were fiercely sad cries that called through the darkness and called to one another and answered back. Conversation ceased. Daylight came at 9 o'clock. At midday the sky to south warmed to rose color, and marked where the bulge of earth intervened between the meridian sun and the northern world. But the rose color swiftly faded. The grey light of day that remained lasted until 3 o'clock. Then it too faded, and the pale of Arctic night descended upon the lone and silent land. As darkness came on, the hunting cries to right and left and rear drew closer, so close that more than once they sent surges of fear through the toiling dogs, throwing them into short-lived panic. And at the conclusion of one such panic, when he and Henry had got the dogs back and the traces, Bill said, "I wish they would strike game somewhere and go away and leave us alone." "They do get on the nerves horrible," Henry sympathized. They spoke no more until camp was made. Henry was bending over and adding ice to the bubbling pot of beans when he was startled by the sound of blow, an exclamation from Bill, and a sharp, snarling cry of pain from among the dogs. He strained up in time to see of dim form disappearing across the snow into the shelter of the dark. Then he saw Bill, standing aimed at the dogs, half triumphant, half crestfallen, in one hand of stout club, and the other the tail and a part of body of some cured salmon. "It got half of it," he announced, "but I got a whack of just the same. Do you hear a squeal?" "What did what it look like?" Henry asked. "Couldn't see, but it had four legs and a mouth and hair and looked like any dog. Must be tame wolf, I reckon. It's damn tame, whatever it is. Coming in here and fading time and getting its whack of fish." That night was surprised, was finished, and the set of oblong box. Huh? That night was surprised. Huh? That night when. Yeah, that's. That night, when supper was finished and they sat on the oblong box and pulled at their pipes, the circle of gleaming eyes drew in even closer than before. "I wish they would spring up a bunch of moose or something and go away and leave us alone," Bill said. Henry grunted with information that was not all sympathy, and for a quarter of hour they sat on silence, Henry staring at the fire, and Bill at the circle of eyes that burned in the darkness just beyond the firelight. "I wished we was pulling into McGarry right now," he began again. "Shut up your wishing and you croaking," Henry burst out angrily. "Your stomach's sore. That's what's ailing you. Swallow a spoonful of sody and you will sweet it up wonderful and be more pleasant company." In the morning Henry was aroused by fervid blasphemy fervent blasphemy that proceeded from the mouth of Bill. Henry pro- prop- Henry propped himself up on elbow and looked to see his comrade standing among the dogs beside the replenished fire, his arms raised on objurgation, his face destroyed with passion. "Hello," Henry called. "What's up now?" "Frog's gone," came the answer. "No!" "I tell you yes." Henry leaped out of blanket and to the dogs. He counted them with care, and then joined his partner in cursing the power of wild that had robbed them of another dog. Frog was the strongest dog of the bunch, Bill pronounced finally. "And he was no fool dog neither," Henry added. And so was recorded the second epitaph in 2 days. A gloomy breakfast was eaten, and the four remaining dogs was harnessed to the sled. The day was a repetition of days that had gone before. The men toiled without speech across the face of the frozen world. The silence was unbroken save by cries of their pursuers that unseen hung upon their rear. With the coming night, in the mid-afternoon, the cries sounded closer as pursuers drew in according to their custom, and the dogs grew excited and frightened, and were guilty of panic that tangled the traces and further depressed the two men. "There, that will fix you fool creeters," Bill said with satisfaction that night, standing erect at completion of his task. Henry left the cooking to come and see. Not only had his partner tied the dogs up, but he had tied them after an Indian fashion, with sticks. About the neck of each dog he had fastened a leather thong. To these, and so close to the neck that the dog could not get his teeth to it, he had tied a stout sticks 4 or 5 feet in length. The other end of stick, in turn, was made fast to stake in the ground by means of leather thong. The dog was unable to gnaw through the leather at his own end of the stick. The stick prevented him from getting at the leather that fastened the other end. Henry nodded his head approvingly. "It's the only contraption that will ever hold 1 year," he said. "He can gnaw through leather as clean as a knife, and just about half as quick. They all will be here in the morning, hunky dory." "Yes, just but they will," Bill affirmed. "If one of them turns up missing, I will go without my coffee." "They just know we ain't loaded to kill," Henry remarked at bedtime, indicating the gleaming circle that hemmed them in. "If we could put a couple of shots in 'em, they would be more respectful. They come closer every night, get firelight, get the firelight out of your eyes and look hard there. Did you see that one? Did you see that one?" For some time the two men amused themselves with watching the movement of vague form and the edge of the firelight. By looking closely and steadily at where a pair of eyes burned in the darkness, the form of the animal would slowly take shape. They could even see these forms move at a time. A sound among the dogs attracted the men's attention. One ear was uttering quick, aged whinnies, lunging at the length of his neck towards the darkness, and desisting now and again in order to make frantic attack on stick with his teeth. "Look at it, Bill! Look at it, Bill!" Henry whispered. Full into fi- full into the firelight, with a stealthy, sidelong movement, glided a dog-like animal. It moved with commingled mistrust and daring, cautiously observing the man, its attention fixed on the dogs. One ear strained the full light of the stick towards the intruder and whined with eagerness. "That fool One Ear don't seem scared much," Bill said in a low tone. "It's a she-wolf," Henry whispered back, "and that accounts for Fatty and Frog. She's decoy for a pack. She draws out a dog and then all the rest pitches in and eats 'em up." The fire crackled. A log fell apart with a loud, spluttering noise. At the sound at the sound of it, strange animal leaped back into the darkness. "Henry, I'm thinking," Bill announces. "Thinking what?" "I'm thinking that was the one I lambasted with the club. Ain't the slight ain't the slightest doubt in the world," was Henry's response. "And right here I want to remark," Bill went on, "that animals familiarly with campfires is suspicious and immoral. It knows for certain, it knows for certain more, more and as self-respect. It knows for certain more and self-respecting wolf ought to know. Henry agreed. A wolf that knows enough to come in with the dogs fading the time. Где? Серьезно? Это много же? Oh, William had a dog once that ran away with the wolves. Bill congested aloud. I ought to know. I shot it out of the pack in moose posture over on little stick, and all Win cried like a baby. Hadn't seen it for 3 years, he said. Been with the wolves all time. I reckon you have called the truth, Bill. That wolf's a dog, and it's eaten fish many the times from the hand of man. And if I get a chance at it, that wolf that's a dog. And if I get a chance at it, that wolf that's a dog will be just meat, Bill declared. We can't afford to lose no more animals. But you have only got 3 cartridges, Henry objected. I will wait for dead shot, was, was the reply. In the morning, Henry renewed the fire and cooked breakfast to the accompaniment of his partner's snoring. You were sleeping just too comfortable for anything, Henry told him as he routed him out for breakfast. I hadn't too hard to rouse you. Bill began to eat sleepily. He noticed that his cup was empty and started to reach for the pot. But the pot was beyond arm's light and beside Henry. Say, Henry, he cheated gently, ain't you forgot something? Henry looked about with a great carefulness and shook his head. Bill held up to empty cup. You don't get no coffee, Henry announced. Ain't run out? Bill asked anxiously. No, ain't thinking it will hurt my digestion. Nope. A flash of angry blood pervaded Bill's face. Then it's just warm and anxious I'm to be hearing you explain yourself, he said. Spunker's gone, Henry answered, without haste, with the air of the right, without haste, with the air of resigned to misfortune. Bill turned his head, and from where he sat counted the dogs. How would it happen? He asked apathetically. Henry shrugged his shoulders. Don't know, unless one ear gnawed them loose. He couldn't a done it himself, that's sure. The darned cuss! Bill spoke gravely and slowly, with no hint on the anger that was raging within. Just because he couldn't chew himself loose, he chewed Spanker loose. Well, Spanker's trouble is over away. I guess he's digested by this time and cavorting over the landscape in the bells of 20 different wolves, was Henry's epitaph of these. The late, the late lost dog. Have some coffee, Bill. But Bill shook his head. Go on, Henry pleaded, elevating the pot. Bill shoved his cap aside. I will be ding dong dang it if I do. I said wouldn't if any dog turned up missing, and I won't. It's drug good coffee, Henry said, entis- enticingly. But Bill was stubborn, and he ate a dry breakfast, washed down with mumbled curses at one ear for trick he had played. I will tie him up out. I will tie him up. I will tie him up out of reach of each other tonight, Bill said as they took the trail. They had travelled little more than 100 yards, when Henry, who was in front, bent down and picked up something with which his some shoe had collided. It was dark, and he could not see it, but he recognized it by the touch. He flung it back so that struck his sled and bounced along until it fetched up on Bill's snowshoes. Maybe you will need that in your business, Hannah said. Bill uttered an exclamation. It was all that was left of Spanker, the stick with which he had been tied. They ate him, hide and all, Bill announced. The stick as clean as whistle. They have ate the leather, often both ends. They are damn hungry, Henry, and they will have you and me guessing before the trip's over. Henry laughed definitely. I ain't been trailed this way by wolves before, but I've gone through a whole lot worse and kept myself health. Takes more and a handful of them pesky critters to do for yours truly, Bill, my son. I don't know, Bill muttered ominously. Well, you will know, all right, when you will pull into McCurry. I ain't feeling special enthusiastic, Bill persisted. You are off color, that's what's the matter with you. Henry Henry dogmatized. What you need is quinine, and I'm going to dose you up, Steve, as soon as we make McGarry. Bill grunted his disagreement with the diagnosis and lapsed into silence. The day was like all the days. Light came at 9 o'clock. At 12 o'clock the southern horizon was warmed by unseen sun, and then began the cold grey of afternoon that would merge 3 hours later into night. It was just after the sun's futile effort to appear that Bill slipped the rifle from under the sled lashing and said, "You keep right on, Henry. I'm going to see what I can see." "You'd better stick by the sled," his partner protested. "You've got only 3 cartridges, and there's no telling what might happen." Who's croaking now?" Bill demanded triumphantly. Henry made no reply, and plodded on alone. So often he cast anxious glances back into the grey solitude where his partner had disappeared. An hour later, taking advantage of the cutoff around which the sled had to go. Bill arrived. "They're scattered and ranging along wide," he said. keeping up with us and looking for game at the same time. You see, they are sure of us, only they know they have got to wait to get us. In the meantime, they are willing to pick up anything eatable that comes handy. You mean they think they are sure of us? Henry objected point, pointedly. But Bill ignored him. I seen some of them. They are pretty sane. They ain't had a bite in weeks, I reckon. Outside of Fatty and Frog and Spanker and these, there is so many of them that didn't go far. They are remarkable thin. Their ribs is like washboard and their stomach is right up against the backbones. They are pretty desperate, I can tell you. They will be going mad yet, and then watch out. A few minutes later, Henry, who was now traveling behind the sled, emitted a low warning whistle. Bill turned and looked, then quietly stopped dogs. To the, to the rear, to the rear, from around the last bend and plainly into view, on the very trail they had just covered, trotted a furry, slinking form. Its nose was to the trail and it trotted with a peculiar, sliding, effortless gait. When they halted, it halted, throwing up its head and regarding them steadily with nostrils that twitched as, as it cut and studied the scant of them. It's a she-wolf, Bill announced. The dogs had lain down in the snow, and he walked past them to join his partner in the sled. Together they watched the strange animal that had pursued them for days and that had already accomplished the destruction of half their dog team. After searching scrutiny, the animal trotted forward a few steps. This it repeated several times, till it was a short 100 yards away. It paused, head up, close by a clump of spruce trees, and with a sigh and scent studied the outfit of watching men. It looked at them, in strangely wistful way after the manner of a dog, but in its wistfulness there was none of the dog affection. It was a wistfulness bred of hunger, as cruel as its own fang, as merciless as the frost itself. It was large for a wolf, its gaunt frame adwesting the lines of animal that was among the largest of its kind. Stands pretty close to 2 feet and a half at the shoulders, Henry commented, and I will bet I ain't far from 5 feet long. Kind of strange color for a wolf, was Bill's criticism. I never seen a red wolf before. Looks almost cinnamon to me. The animal was certainly not cinnamon colored. Its coat was a true wolf coat. The dominant color was gray, and yet there was there was to it a faint red-dished hue, a hue that was baffling, that appeared and disappeared, that was more like an illusion of vision, now grey, distinctly grey, and again giving hint and glint of vague redness of colour, not classifiable in terms of ordinary experience. Looks for all the world like a big husky sled dog, Bill said. I wouldn't be surprised to see it wag its tail. Hello, you husky, he called. Come here, you whatever your name is. Ain't a bit scared of you, Henry laughed. 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 Bill waved his hand at threat- threateningly, a shoulder loudly, but the animal betrayed no fear. The only change in the only change in it that they could notice was an anx- anx- accession of alertness. It still regarded them with the merciless wastefulness of hunger. They were meat, and it was hunger. Huh. They were meat, and it was hungry, and it would like to go in and eat them if it dared. Look here, Henry, Bill said, unconsciously lowering his voice to whisper it because of what he imitated. We've got 3 cartridges, but it's a dead shot. Couldn't miss it. It's got away with 3 of our dogs, and we've oughter put a stop to it. What do you say? Henry nodded his consent. Bill cautiously slipped the gun from under the sled lashing. The gun was on the way to his shoulder, but it never got there. For for in that instant the she-wolf leaped sidewise from the trail into the clump of spruce trees and disappeared. The 2 men looked at each other. Henry whistled long and comprehendingly. I might have known it, Bill cheated himself aloud as he replaced the gun. Of course a wolf that knows enough to come in with the dogs at feeding time would know all about shooting irons. I tell you right now, Henry, that creature's true cause of all our troubles. We would have 6 dogs at the present time instead of three, if it wasn't for her. And I tell you right now, Henry, I'm going to get her. She's too smart to be shot in the open, but I'm going to lay for her. I will bushwhack her as sure as my name is Bill. You needn't stray off too far in doing it, his partner admonished. If that pack ever starts to jump you, them 3 cartridges be was no more and 3 whoops in hell. Them animals is damn hungry, and once they start in, they will sure get you, Bill. They will sure get you, Bill. They camped early that night. 3 dogs could not drag the sled so fast nor for so long hours as could 6, and they were showing unmistakable sign of playing out. and the man went early to bed, Bill first seeing to it that the dogs were tied out of gnawing reach of each other. But the wolves were growing bolder, and the men were aroused more than once from their sleep. So near did the wolves approach that the dogs became frantic with terror, and it was necessary to replenish the fire from time to time in order to keep the adventurous marauders at safe distance. Sana kileptim. I've heard sailors talk to sharks following a ship, Bill remarked, as he crawled back into blankets after one such replenishing of the fire. We will replenishing of fire. Well, them wolves is land shark. They know their business better than we do, and they ain't holding our trails this way for their health. They're going to get us. They're sure going to get us, Henry. They have half a dog. They have half got your already. I thinking like that. Henry retorted sharply. A man, a man is half licked when he say he is, and you are half eaten from the way you are going on about it. They've got anyway with better men than you and me, Bill answered. Oh, shut up, you're croaking. I make you make me all fired tired. Henry rolled over angrily on his side, but was surprised that Bill made no similar display of temper. This was not Bill's way, this was not Bill's way, for he was easily angered by sharp words. Henry thought long over it before he went to sleep, and as his eyelids fluttered down and dozed off, the thought in his mind was, "There is no mistaking it. Bill is almightily blue. I will have to cheer him up tomorrow." Uh, and this we ended the second part of White Fang, which was She-Wolf, and there is some phrases which I highlighted. Uh, the first one is hmm. Henry leaped out of the blanket and the dogs. Здесь это выражение Генри выпрыгнул из-под одеяла и бросился к собакам. Это был тот момент, когда он проснулся и узнал, что одного из собак съели. Хорошо. Дальше еще тот момент, что she draws out the dog and then all the rest pitches in and eats up. Там был момент, который показывает, как они съедают вообще собак. Одна из волчиц, ну, одна из волков, волчица, которая похожа на собаку, которую они говорят, что приручена, она подходила к собакам во время их, ну, в момент, когда они принимали пищу, ну, когда их кормили, и приманивала одного из собак в более дальнее место, где находилась стая. Ну, где находились люди и собаки. После этого она заманивала эту собаку, и остальные волки нападали на нее и съедали. О, Bill muttered ominously. Это хорошее выражение, мне понравилось. Зловещий пробормотал Билл. И очень хорошее выражение, которое тоже понравилось. You are off color. That's what's the matter with you. Ты не в себе. Вот в чем дело. You are off color. И последнее предложение в данной главе. There is no mistaking it. Bill's all almightily blue. I will have to cheer him up tomorrow. Ошибки быть не может. Биллу ужасно грустно. Надо будет завтра его подбодрить. То есть Генри понял, что из того, что Билл начал быстро выходить из себя, но хотя это было не похоже на него, он понял, что ситуация уже чуть-чуть усложняется, и Билла нужно чуть-чуть подбодрить, чтобы он пришел в себя, потому что мы видим, что до смерти одного из собак, третьей собаки, он пообещал, что если одна из них умрет, или будет съедена, он не будет утром пить кофе. И если вы заметили, в то утро у Билла на стакане не было кофе, потому что одна из собак была съедена. Ну, таким образом, он был очень разочарован и также хотел застрелить ту волчицу, которая за ними следила. Ну, на этом закончим сегодняшний стрим. Это второй день. Ну, думаю, получилось пока что неплохо. Ну, стоит поработать над ним. Оп, завершить трансляцию.